Today we have a special and detailed look at Lummi Island Wild Baker Lake Salmon. Hello folks, and welcome to the Eclectic Chef channel. We're going to be working here on a Baker Lake salmon fillet from Lummi Island Wild. Just going to be portioning this up. I'll show you how we prepare our portions and how we vacuum pack and freeze them for later use. First thing we're going to do is pat this fillet dry with some paper towel. Now try not to leave it stuck on the salmon. Let's get the skin side too. Just make it easier to handle. Flip it over. While we're at it, let's check, see that they've got these bones out properly. Looks like it. No pin bones. Pin bones. You should always... Oh no, we've got some left. So we'll get those out and proceed with our fillet cutting. Dragging our sashimi knife across the salmon helps get these left out pin bones to stand up so we can get them out, which we're going to do now. Now we got both of them in one go, which was nice. You really do owe it to the people you're preparing food for, especially if it's sashimi and sushi. This is not that we've got all the pin bones out. And of course, these pin bones want to stick to my fingers. I think we can probably get 5 decent portions out of this piece of salmon, which I've marked off with the back of the knife. So let's just go ahead and cut these through. Now, I always pre-season my salmon. Different herbs and spices. Today we're going to try, and I've used this before, my wife likes it, a little bit of Japanese 5-spice and a small sprinkling of garlic powder. Let's get a little bit more on there, shall we? Now, this may come as a surprise to you. I am not a huge fan of cooked fish. I love raw salmon, smoked salmon. I'm not big on cooked salmon, but it's my wife's favourite food, and that's who I'm preparing this for today. But we'll have 4 fillets left to freeze in vacuum packed containers. This is the one we're looking for today. Nice belly portion. Lummi Island says these Baker Lake salmon have a very high fat content, so it should be very tasty, and we'll see what my wife's taste test tells us after we've cooked this. How do we cook our salmon? I'll show you later, but I cook it 2 to 3 minutes flesh side down in a pan until just the salmon's coloured through. Then I turn the heat off. We're on medium high, I guess, at that point. Flip the salmon over and just leave the skin there for 2 minutes. I like to remove the skin for serving salmon fillets, so that's what we're going to do, but the skin after 2 to 3 minutes just peels right off. By the way, separately, this is the sashimi knife we're using today, Lucky Chef sashimi knife. I've had this knife for about 2 years. I use it quite a lot. It's a budget price knife, single bevel, which means, frankly, if you're left-handed, it's not going to work for you very well. But it's budget priced, it stayed sharp, I don't abuse it. We'll have a separate review of this Lucky Chef knife on the channel in about a week, but I'm pretty impressed with them, frankly. So, here we have one of our salmon fillets in the vacuum bag, and we're going to seal it in our food saver. I match the skin side to the rough side of the bag and always give it full vacuum. Okay, I didn't want to talk over the vacuum pump. We've sealed this up now. I did put a splash of Maggi sauce on here, which we find in our household really brings out the flavour of salmon. The nice thing about vac packing the salmon is really just force all the seasonings and the flavourings. And we're going to refreeze this. We find this is really the most efficient way to prepare, portion and have our salmon ready for cooking. That way we can defrost it fairly quickly, have it out and be in the pan. And freezing them individually saves us a bit of freezer space too. So here is the salmon cooking in our pan, which we'll talk about in another video because we love these pans. Just looking for a bit of colour change, then we'll flip it over and steam the skin off. So here's how our finished Lummi Island salmon fillet turned out. Served on top of some brown rice, topped with 4 large shrimp, which were sautéed in Chinese dessert wine infused with osmanthus flowers. Makes them additionally delicious. Grilled asparagus and carrots glazed with mirin and honey. Now, before you all criticise my plating style, I have to tell you that this is how my wife likes her food served, in a shallow bowl. It suits her best, and what she wants when I'm cooking, she usually gets. At the end of the day, my wife reported that this Baker Lake sockeye salmon from Lummi Island Wild was probably one of the best pieces of salmon she's ever tasted. Certainly better than the Costco wild salmon I usually buy and portion for her. She specifically reported that the texture of the flesh was softer. Now, I didn't cook it any differently to how I usually cook salmon, so I attribute that to the extra fat content that Lummi Island reports this Baker Lake salmon has. The Baker Lake salmon fishery is very limited, run in a sustainable way, and there isn't much of it. I will tell you, this is not inexpensive, but if you were wanting to buy some pretty top shelf salmon for a special treat, or you're a real salmon lover, my wife would strongly recommend it to you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help support our channel.